It's my pleasure to introduce the president of St. Louis College of Pharmacy to begin this evening, President John Pieper.
The students have to applaud, so that's who's applauding. Thanks, you guys. I would also like to join Brett in welcoming you here to our campus and to our reunion weekend. This is a very special evening tonight. And whenever we gather as a college and have an event here, it's a special occasion. But tonight is particularly special. I arrived on campus a little over 2 years ago. In fact, I remember the date. It was August 2nd, 2010. And it had been several weeks since I'd been on campus. And as I came back on campus on August 2nd, I knew something had happened. And it happened very shortly before I arrived on campus. On that very first morning that I showed up for work on Monday, August 2nd, I found a grief-stricken college mourning the loss of a famous alumnus, a husband, a father, and a legend in St. Louis College of Pharmacy. During the services for Dr. Naeger that ensued over that next week, I had the chance to meet his family and to meet Betsy and to meet the first student that I was going to meet at St. Louis College of Pharmacy, the head of Kappa Psi at that time, a brilliant student named Heather Potler. And Heather made an appointment to talk to me the day after the services for Leonard. And she described for me the loss that this campus felt, that our students felt, and that our community would feel forever. She was quick to tell me about everything she knew about Leonard and how she loved him and how all the students who had been here for the last 50 years love Leonard. And it began my thinking about an appropriate way to recognize this legendary figure. And so I mentioned to Heather at the end of that meeting how neat it would be. I was very influenced by the statue over here of David Jones. And it occurred to me as I talked to Heather how cool it would be if we had a statue of Leonard. But I said to Heather, I have to talk to Betsy first. And so I think Betsy probably remembers the day that I talked to her about it. And I think we both thought it would be just a remarkable thing if we could find the right person to do the right statue of Leonard. So we began a search for a person, a talented artist, who could create the kind of statue that we wanted to recognize this legend in our college. And we were fortunate to find a remarkably talented person, Cynthia Hitchler. And I would like to recognize Cynthia tonight for creating this beautiful statue. I hope all of you take the time to tell Cynthia tonight how much you appreciate her beautiful work and what she's done to enrich our campus, both now and indefinitely into the future. On an interesting twist, Cynthia has a brother-in-law who is also being recognized this weekend as one of our golden alums, Michael Hitchler, who graduated from our college 50 years ago. So Cynthia has two very strong connections to our college. We're very committed to this college, all of us here tonight, whether we're an alumnus, a faculty member, current student, a pharmacist in this community, and we know, and I want to assure you, we are preparing the best pharmacists in the country at this college. At the same time, as we began the work on this statue, really Cynthia began the work on this statue, we began to raise funds for the Leonard L. Naeger Endowed Professorship. As much as we celebrate the past and Leonard's time with us, and we continue to remember him with this statue, this professorship celebrates the future of this college. We're still raising funds for the endowed professorship, and we have a goal of having an endowment that would allow us to hire an outstanding pharmacologist in the image of Leonard Naeger to come teach students at the College of Pharmacy. To make that happen, the college has committed to match every dollar that's given for this purpose. So for every dollar you give, we'll match it with $1 to raise the money to honor this transformational person. We've raised about $100,000 to date. We'd like to raise another $150,000 so we can have a $500,000 endowment to remember and commemorate Leonard Naeger forever in a new faculty member. Not one that will ever replace Leonard, but one that will serve to remember Leonard to us. So please see Brett Schott and any of the people who work for our advancement office here who would be willing to work with you to make this happen. Tonight, we're going to hear from the kinds of people who we'll enjoy hearing from to remember Leonard. Members of his family, his friends, his colleagues, and his fraternity. Betsy, I want to say thank you for being here tonight. You have a special place in our hearts, you know that, and we're so glad you're here. We're going to start tonight by introducing one of our most beloved alumni and probably Leonard's best friend, Sam Tadros from our class of 1963. Sam.
You know, when they placed this statue over here about 4 or 5 months ago, I was told there was a student that passed by. He stopped, looked at that statue, admired it for a few minutes, and then he said, "It's good to have you back on campus, Dr. Naeger." How appropriate. Whoever that person is, you said it for me and for all of us. You know, we, the St. Louis College of Pharmacy family, we can brag about a lot of things. We can brag about a fantastic administration over the years, past and present, that made this college the Harvard of pharmacy schools. We can brag about this beautiful campus, which is a heck of a lot different than the times when I went to school back in 1960. You know, but this campus is so beautiful and so conducive to learning. But I do believe that the best bragging rights, the loudest, should be reserved for those wonderful and noble people that we call faculty. Just imagine, in a short period of time, they take us under their wings and they turn us into the best healthcare professionals in our field. Leonard Naeger, thank you. Leonard Naeger was one of those noble people, and he was one of the best. I look at this statue and kind of reminds me of what Leonard Naeger stood for: integrity, honesty, and dedication. Leonard was so dedicated to the profession, and many of us, including the old guys like me and a bunch of, well, we're not old. We are better pharmacists thanks to Leonard Naeger. He was dedicated to Kappa Psi, and he was its mentor. I remember he was gung-ho from day one when we pledged Kappa Psi back in 1960. Leonard was also dedicated to his students. He will do anything for them to help them get along the way. And I've seen him spend many an hour with students that they were struggling, and he would really help them out all the way through. Leonard was also dedicated to this college. He was one of its best ambassadors, along with the late Dr. Joe Haberly. They would go places and raise money. They were both admired and loved. Leonard also kind of lived what Dr. Peter Hurd refers to as the 4 L's. That's living, loving, learning, and leaving a legacy. Leonard once told me that each year the division director in his department will send him a note that says, "Dr. Naeger, what are you going to teach this year?" And Leonard would write back on the same note and send it back and would say, "It's the same thing I taught last year." However, if you would have asked Dr. Naeger what his New Year's resolutions were, he will tell you year after year, for as long as I can remember, and I've known him for 50 some odd years, his New Year's resolutions were always the same. He wanted to be a better teacher, and he wanted to be a better husband. Knowing Leonard, in his pursuit of perfection, I do believe that he accomplished both. Leonard was a gift for all of us. Unfortunately, he was only on loan. And like we say in the Greek Orthodox Church, may his memory be eternal. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. I never know how to introduce this woman because I have to call her by what her family called her. Fats, would you come up and please share with us?
Wow, try following that one, huh? Good evening, everyone. On behalf of my brothers, Don and Barry, my sister Jean, and the entire Naeger family and the Adams family, I wish to express our deepest gratitude to Dr. Pieper, the St. Louis College of Pharmacy, especially the faculty, our wonderful Alumni Association, Kappa Psi, and everyone and anyone that had anything to do with providing this fantastic tribute to our brother. A special thanks to Cynthia. Her talented hands not only captured his appearance, but also the twinkle in his eye and the ever so slight smile on his face that was always there. And of course the puppy dog slippers that often covered his feet when he was here. I was thrilled with the placement of the statue. He appears to be exiting Jones Hall, which is the only building here, as Sam said, when us old folks went to pharmacy school, to Wellesley Hall, where the current and future pharmacists learn most of their profession. After all, for 50 years, he was a living symbol of the transformation from the past to the present of this prestigious institution. Last spring, I was here also, Sam. I watched them put the statue in. I heard the young man say, "Welcome back, Doc." And I know that Len said, "I'm glad to be here." And I'm certain that he is very glad to be here, and so are all of us. Thank you all.
It is also a pleasure to introduce one of his colleagues on the faculty here at the college, Dr. Thomas Zlatic.
There comes a time when few words are necessary. College existed for close to 150 years, a couple of thousand faculty members, and there's one statue. So either Leonard had some major accomplishments in life, or he had a lot of good friends. And of course, for Leonard, it's one and the same. Hard to talk about Leonard because to his face, I never gave him any compliments at all. But Leonard's primary contribution to the college, which were many, I think, was creating an environment of friends that existed here. It's good to have a statue. There will not be another Leonard Naeger, partly because, given the rules and regulations today, with all his shenanigans, Leonard would not make it through the first year. But now, statue's a reminder of what he was. And during the day when I walk up this road here, including today around noon, I'll slow down and I'll watch people and I'll wait to see if they go up to the Naeger statue. And I'll say, "Did you know Leonard?" And usually they'll say no. And I said, "Let me tell you about Leonard. It's good to have a statue."
Finally, this evening, on behalf of his brothers, Kappa Psi, Bob Schwartz.
Kind of a hard act to follow. My remarks I put together are, I guess, a little outdated, but let me try to read from what I prepared, and maybe I'll ad lib a little if I stutter a little and don't explain myself too well. You'll understand what's going on. But Dr. Pieper, President of the Alumni Association, Bill Reed, I guess Bill was here, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Kinney, I'm sorry, Len's wife Betsy, Len's children David and Stephen, and other guests and fellow alumni. Wow. It's hard to believe, but it was 50 years ago. Len and I were strolling on this campus, trying to make our way in the world. What accomplishment for the college, and of course, they've taught somebody to be able to exist on their own, and I certainly appreciate that because I was Len member of Kappa Psi. But it's hard for me to believe it's been 50 years since Len and I were students at the fraternity Brothers. We roamed this very campus as young men, trying to find our way in the world. During the last 50 years, Len wore many hats for the St. Louis College of Pharmacy. He was a student, he was a graduate, he was a student professor, department head, and a fraternity advisor to Kappa Psi. Whatever he did with gusto. Len was always enthusiastic about everything he participated in. We are here today to honor the man who gave his professional life to pharmacy. Let me share with you some of my personal feelings for him. Len was 2 years behind me in school, but close enough because we were fraternity brothers in Kappa Psi. Being fraternity brothers, we did a lot of things together, and I guess I should not mention a lot of them. So. After leaving the College of Pharmacy, we seldom would see each other, but when we did, it seemed like just yesterday. I remember many times when I was at my drugstore in Edwardsville, in would walk Len. We should always take from those who we meet desire to the strength in of our lives. Let me reflect on what Leonard gave to us, and would be a push to stay connected. Deepen our relationship with and understand our profession as well as our patients. Leonard was deeply committed to the college. It was his alma mater, where he has served on the faculty staff for 40 years. The endowment professorship is really what the future of the college, and the college resolved to be a leader in the pharmacy education. I hope you will join us as we create this endowment professorship so that Leonard's name will be associated with the fine academics for years to come. Let's take away from today our own resolve to make a difference in our lives of others. When Len would walk into my store when I was at Edwardsville, it'd be like he was walking in to see me personally. And I knew very well that it wasn't just that, because I had the courthouse across the street from me, and he would be over there testifying in a court case for either libel suit or something, but he would always go to the effort to come in to see me and make it think that that was the reason why he came to my store. And I was gullible enough to believe it, but he would do that. The brotherhood, I can also remember Len telling me stories about graduates of the college would call with drug interactions or pharmacology questions, and he would always take the time to talk to the students, try to understand what the situation was, and leave them with a good action on the part of the patient and the profession. Needless, I should say not a whole lot more, but we're here tonight to dedicate this statue for Leonard, but we're also here to start this professorship fund with the Alumni Association to honor his name, so that his name will be here with the college for the many years to come. I thank you all very much for allowing me to come here tonight and be part of this affair. Thank you very much.
As we close our festivities here, I want to thank our students from Kappa Psi who are here showing your support. For truly, you're the greatest brother you've ever had at St. Louis College of Pharmacy. I also want to thank Cynthia for her remarkable work. You will be remembered always in our hearts, Cynthia. Thanks certainly Dave and Steve for sharing your father with us for all those years when he could have been home with you. I know, it's a real commitment. Thanks Betsy for everything you've done. Thanks Sue for your support. Thanks to Bob and Sam and all the other colleagues who Leonard had here on the faculty, fraternity brothers, supporters, encouragers, and colleagues in every sense of the word. It's just a remarkable evening. This is a better college because you were here with us tonight. We're delighted that you were here, that we can recognize this transformational figure. I want to assure you that the dreams that Len had for this college will continue. This college is strong. We're going to build on the foundation that he left us with. And we're committed with his statue here and him looking at us every day to do the things we think Leonard Naeger would have us do as we move into the future. So thank you all for coming tonight. We're blessed that you are here. It's a very special evening. Please enjoy the weekend. Take care of yourself. And I will say, always remember Leonard and what he stood for. Thank you.